So today we've had Gianni Casagrande on the podcast from Moda and Pelle. We've been talking about all things to do with COVID, personalization within his system and what new techniques they're looking to employ in the future, and a general catch up on business moving forward.
Gianni, really, how's it been going on really the last 6 months?
Oh, it's been a roller coaster. No, I think a lot of retailers have had very different experiences with the last 6 months. Some of them, have had to completely shut up shop, and it's been devastating to see the impact it's had on the high street and online retailers as well. Some of them, not now doing the best that they were. But luckily, Moda's kind of came through the other side, really positive. We've had challenges, don't get me wrong, but with lots of success, challenges do come around. At the beginning of coronavirus, we didn't know how things were going to be towards the end of the year. And, we had to use every trading lever that we could at the time to get through. So we give the customers what they wanted, and that was some really nice shoes at an affordable price, and we had a really good sale. Great feedback from the customers, and it carried us through, and we came out the other side in a really strong position.
What changed in terms of what you were selling? Because I think when it kind of started, it occurred, a lot of the high value of high ticket items were the first ones to be the victim of it. And it tended to be, I guess in fashion, we tend to see like your leisure wear sites, kind of active wear, I should say, that really started to move. Did you find some of your cheaper items were starting to sell more?
Yeah, definitely. So we saw a lot of the legacy sale products doing well, which influenced a lot of what our trading decisions were moving forward. But even a shift in the product type. So trainers were doing incredible. People weren't buying boots, early January, February anymore because they weren't going out to the places where they wanted to go out anymore with boots. So trainers were absolutely skyrocketing. So it was, an opportunity for us to really develop that area of the business. And, especially over the last 6 months, we've, the designs and the products that we've brought to the website and to our stores, they're insane. They're really, really nice. And the customers have been loving it. So definitely a shift in product.
Is it more towards comfort?
Because people's behaviors changing. Yeah, exactly. Like comfort massively. I think people's behaviors massively change. Long gone are the days we're going out with our friends anymore on nights out, and people's birthday occasions, christenings, weddings. There's none of that. So it's, what can I wear to go to the supermarket to do my weekly shop and feel comfortable?
I think for Moda and Pelle as well, the campaigns throughout the year. So you've got kind of your boot event and also Pink Friday. I guess that's kind of flipped the script of your campaign planning as well.
100%. So to give people a bit of a background, last year we partnered with the Pink Ribbon Foundation, which is a charity that works with lots of other charities to help women with breast cancer. So we did 2 massive, incredible events, raised a lot of money for the Pink Ribbon Foundation. We sponsored a lot of their events. So there was a lot of celebrity, catwalks for fashion and charity that we sponsored and put a lot of money behind to really just give back to these people. And this year, again, the focus this year was supporting the NHS, especially, towards the start of coronavirus and when the NHS was overwhelmed and all these NHS workers were having a horrific time. So we decided to donate £45,000 worth of shoes to just the Leeds hospitals. Obviously, Moda and Pelle is a Leeds business. We've got a lot of people who have got a lot of stories and experiences with the local hospitals here. So the least we could do was, just give back a small token of our appreciation and hopefully make their day a bit better.
I think that's great. I think that kind of links on to our main topic really at Salesfire this month is empathy. I think everyone's kind of shifted that behavior of empathy. So I kind of guess, as well as the NHS and those 600 trainers is great. I think it's how else are you doing that in the digital space?
So a big part for us was education over the past few months. Obviously we had to shut up shop. We have 40 stores across the UK and we had to, shut those up. So for us, we had to make sure that the customers who still wanted to make their purchase, that we could do that and make it the best experience that they can. So alongside all of our charity events that we ran this year, and making sure that our online experience was as seamless as possible, we wanted to have a bit of an education piece to make sure that our customers who were traditionally offline customers could have that same, high quality, seamless experience that they would normally have with our retail team online. So that was a huge part of our communication strategy, especially around the May, June time.
Oh no, I think that's great. I think that's a lot we've seen across our clients as well. The messaging that they're trying to portray really is about, about the delivery. It's a bit more kind of, wearing your shoes as well,
so to speak.
Yeah, 100%.
No pun intended.
No, I was just going to say that obviously another part was obviously making sure that our actual team were safe and comfortable coming to work. So like a lot of businesses, we made sure that we were communicating exactly what we were doing internally to our customers as well, to make sure they knew, the steps we were taking to align ourselves with government guidelines, and to make sure the office experience for those who couldn't work from home was as safe as possible and beyond. And the people at home as well made sure they had a good network for support, because it's a change. It's crazy. It's against human nature what we've kind of gone through over the past year.
Yeah, it's totally flipped the script of, everyone. You can be so prepared throughout 2020 and the year, and what you've learned from Black Friday and all those segmentations. It's kind of just up in the air again. It's kind of just learning and being reactive month on month, and then listening to the trends that are happening.
100%. The rule book's gone shot out the window.
Yeah, well, it's changing week to week, the rule book, isn't it? It's you've got to be crazy nimble to be able to adjust.
How are you finding kind the behavior in, I guess, you've worked agency side and now working with performance agents? Have you kind of had any kind of reaction from them? Is it more kind of the way they're approaching you once this happened? Kind of the communication is kind of bonded you closer together?
100%. We have a bit of a running motto at Moda and Pelle, where we surround ourselves with talented people and success follows, and that's really shown over the last 6 months. We've not got a huge external team with agencies and partners. We're very selective with who we work with, and the people who have been working with us, they've been honestly phenomenal in terms of the support, the data they've provided us, the strategy, and helping us leverage every marketing channel or the general core website itself to really push through. Obviously, you guys have been fantastic as well from an experience point of view. Once we've got the customers on site, it was a huge part of our big personalization project we had over the past 18 months. And just obviously we were looking at your dashboard day on day to make sure that we were seeing what's happening. We've got our tunnel vision in terms of what Moda and Pelle does, and we don't know if that's normal or abnormal. And it was nice to have partners providing solutions where we could really see how the market in general was performing.
Yeah, I think that's all we could do during lockdown. Really, was kind of make available all of our kind of statistics and all our learnings and things. So, I guess to give people confidence that the market was growing. It wasn't just people just positive spin, that type of thing. And it's, to be honest, it gave us something. It gave us something to do in a sense, because in terms of marketing. In terms of sales and marketing, we were kind of, it was shameful to try and sell anything, even if you were in a position where you could genuinely benefit someone's business in terms of what you could offer them. Even in the situation where sales were going up, people actually started to spend more on ads and things, actually selling in new services to people to help them. You just weren't allowed. It was frowned upon to kind of sell or pitch or pitch anything really. So we just spent a lot of time kind of internally developing looking at kind of what we're going to do when we're coming out of this, which is what we've done, which is kind of coming into fruition this month. But by and large, it was just a case of what can we do to kind of just be transparent and just kind of get our just help people along, really, I guess. And I guess we'll build on that all the time as well through the trend stuff.
100%. It just gives people a bit more confidence in where everyone is at the moment. You spend so much time stuck in your bubble that it's hard to see outside of it, and tools like that allow you to make sure that you're in it with everyone. Everyone's on the same journey.
Because what people forget is, obviously, Gianni, you've come from agency side, so you've been in a position where you've had eyes on effectively, I guess, 1,000, 1,100 sites where you were previously. So you could see the stats, basically the benchmarking against various industries and things like that. But when you go client side, you've basically got yourself and potentially sister companies or companies where you'll kind of not compete and be able to share kind of information and tips and things. But really, you haven't got those eyes on hundreds and hundreds of retailers kind of thing. So it's harder to plot those trends, I guess.
100%. Yeah, when you work in agency side, you've got a wealth of data and insights that you've got at your fingertips. But when it's brand side, even though you've got nice rich data from the brand you're working for itself, you're relying on friends in the industry to how's everything with you? How are your return rates at the moment? These are the conversations you're having with friends, and that's where you're getting the majority of the direction that things are going. That's where you get the information from.
Do you tend to find those people that you kind of, I guess, have these conversations with, they tend to be across the same industry? Because 99% of the time you're not competing with one another, or do you tend to naturally gravitate towards people where there is literally no crossover? Like, are you literally speaking to other people in women's footwear, for example, or is it people that are selling fashion in general, that type of thing?
It's definitely majority fashion in general, but not women's footwear. No, you're talking about businesses that are, really high ticket clothing items, back all the way down to affordable clothing, to really niche size ranges. There's, even though it's just getting a guidance on how other people are feeling, what their pain points are as well. Because generally, no matter what industry and what sector you're in, if you're a retailer, the pain points are generally the same. It's always to do with stock, logistics, warehousing, delivery, marketing, budgets.
I think it's kind of the same when we're going back to the messaging as well. Like, usually when you're on site and then kind of that panic mode of stone stock, so it's like when they're on site, it's like, how are they actually feeling at that time? What do they actually want? So normally you'd be quite clear in e-commerce if in terms of your sale and the limited stock. But it's kind of their behaviors now is how can you reassuring?
100%. It's, and also giving customers the most relevant and personalized experience as you can. I mentioned just a few seconds ago that we've had a huge personalization project at Moda and Pelle. When I joined the business, we were doing some phenomenal numbers, but we had so many gaps in what we were doing in terms of making an experience not general but personal on a one-to-one basis. So we looked at our email platforms and we migrated over to a new one because it allowed us to have a really personalized approach one-on-one. And during COVID, we've made sure that the messaging to individual customers is very specific and it's a meaningful transaction, not just another retailer.
I think it's great. I think it's that, the single customer view. It should be, a core across all your comm. But as that's kind of, you've already worked on that project and it's more efficient now, it's kind of, you've already tapped into that. So that's great. It's just optimizing it each time.
100%, and making sure that we utilize partners that are at the forefront of these different new technologies. And we've recently just partnered with a company that is a Facebook ads enhancement company. That the features that their platform's got is next level Facebook advertising. Massive flexibility when it comes to product feed segmentation and automation through Facebook ads. Just, we need to make that experience that one step better than what just the standard is.
It's just getting that 1%, isn't it? Leverage over your competitors.
100%, yeah, exactly.
So I think in terms,
how are things? Sorry, go on, Charlie.
I think in terms of Q4, so there's a lot of like exposure now about Black Friday campaigns going along. I guess with you still working from home, is there more efficiency in terms of teams meeting and, you know, people you wouldn't really speak to on a day-to-day basis? Is there more communication, I guess, and collaboration?
Definitely. You know, working from home has its pros and its cons. You know, from a pro point of view, I feel like working from home is a lot more efficient. You realize how much noise you have in the office that's not necessarily quality. You know, we've worked on some processes. Oh, you realize how much time you spend chatting away. You know, we've worked on some amazing new processes that have allowed us to have the best communication from remote working, and you know, we've had some of our best trading months ever working this way. So for us, you know, some teams, I understand, for example, our buying team, our merchandising team, they have to be around each other, they have to feel the product, they have to, you know, have these sessions where safely they're in a room together. But for a web and digital team, we work on the web and digital all day, so it's been quite an easy transition.
Moving into sort of like next year, have you kind of talked about how your marketing might sort of evolve in terms of how you're going to approach things? Because I suppose we're not out the woods yet with this thing. It seems to be a kind of ebb and flow to how things are adjusting and measures and such, you know, as there been kind of talks of how you move into 2021.
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's going to be new challenges, you know, but our initial objectives have stayed the same. You know, we've got our growth objectives, we've got, you know, new partners that we'd love to work with, new collaborations with influencers, you know, lots of different things, new, you know, web enhancement partners to improve that journey again. So those things haven't changed, and you know, our original growth targets, we're still aiming for those. We just have to adapt a bit differently this time and make sure customer service and, you know, the experience is at the forefront now. This is more important than ever to, you know, give people the best, you know, user experience online as we can, especially now when people they're choosing wisely where they put their money, and we need to make sure that we're the best person out there to you know, to spend with. It's hard. The competition's really tough at the moment, and everyone's hustling. Do you know what I mean? it's to get through. So yeah, we've got really ambitious growth targets and, you know, plans for next year, and it's exciting. It's really exciting.
Oh, that's really cool.
In terms for us, I guess, you know, over the last 6 months, bit of a shock for me to kind of, you know, introduce myself to Salesfire, and on the first day, crisis meeting to start working from home with the lockdown.
10 minutes into Charlie's career, there was a crisis meeting.
Yeah.
And 2 hours later, I think we were taking a gallon of milk.
Yeah, I stole quite a few pints of milk to go home. That was my first day.
Yeah.
So
computer screen under one arm.
Yeah.
Literally.
Milk in the other hand.
Milk in the other. Quite literally.
So I think for us, it's quite strange because, you know, it's introducing myself to new people, how teams work, how efficient we are, what's the processes. So it's quite a shock to, you know, to sit back at home. You kind of get quite overwhelmed of starting a new place. So sitting at my desk, you know, trying to introduce myself over Zoom and how the teams work. It's actually, well, this is how they used to work. This is how we're going to work week on week. So it's been quite an eye opener. And I feel like now I've introduced myself to the team face to face, I feel like stronger than ever, really, I guess, from your perspective as Rich, as well as the bond between sales and marketing, and, you know, that data and how we look ahead. So I think it's, in terms of like B2B, B2C, it's impacted everyone.
Give us an opportunity. Sorry, just take this out because it's going back my ear. Give us an opportunity really to just take stock with everything. So get a lot of new development instead of kind of where traditionally we'd be rolling out things almost on the fly and kind of getting things built and then rolling them out, and then almost really not taking the time to kind of explain them to clients, some of these new features, or communicate them properly, or launch them properly. We were just kind of throwing things out. It gave us a chance to kind of take stock on how we were going to communicate things more effectively, and actually build a whole load of automation in the background. So with Charlie coming in, it came at the right time, where we had all these processes, and it was a case of just kind of looking at each department and kind of looking at how we can automate and work smarter across each one of them. So HubSpot's been a major thing
100%.
for us from a CRM perspective, really, I think, isn't it? Like tying all the different departments into that.
I think it's kind of the same for you, Gianni, with the personalization. It's for all the different channels that you're working with and marketing assets. You want that kind of, that streamline of the reporting and the return and the attribution. So that's kind of been a key thing, I guess, across all industries is what's kind of the return. What can I not live without? What tools do we need to use, pandemic or no pandemic? So I think that's kind of what we've been doing the 6 months, is how can we use this tool that's so powerful across all the department, and, the quality of data as well.
That's the thing. And looking at what data you have access to improve, like, what product you're offering. I think that's a lot of retailers don't understand what data they have at their fingertips.
I think a lot of the time people are affected by, in a sense, there's no real silver bullets out there. There's very few left to make a very big impact on a business. So when it comes to, I don't think a lot of people are embracing kind of the personalization side of things properly yet, because I'm not going wholehearted at it, because there's only incremental changes. There's a lot of work you've got to do, regardless of AI and things like that. There's a lot of work you've got to do to start getting that traction, to see that growth in conversion, that growth in sales off the back of it. So I think a lot of people are just kind of put off at the size of the mountain they've got to climb with it, really, I think.
Yeah.
So they'll go for
definitely.
They tend to stick in this rut of changing out payment gateways, changing out the email system and things like that. They're not actually using systems to the fullest.
Yeah.
We've taken advantage, funnily enough, we've taken advantage of that in a sense, in that, like, we've got into an industry in terms of the search solution that we've got. We've gotten into an industry where there are companies that have been long established for 10, 15 years, and we're going up and competing and winning business against them. And we've been building our search for 3 years now, and it's only been live. We've only actually had it available to end users for coming up 9 months. It was turn of the year, really. But the reason being is because we make it nice and simple for people to use. So genuinely, you can go get a superior enterprise solution. You're going to pay a lot for it. But you can go get the solution where you can tweak and literally have a team optimizing that search month on month and making it better and making it stronger. And all the tools are there, but people tend to get these systems and don't really work into them, because the scale of the task is just kind of overbearing for people, really.
I think it scares people sometimes as well, when, in terms of onboarding, there's only so much onboarding you can do, but it is quite overwhelming. You still need that reassurance and the education behind each little feature, how you can make the most of it, and that's time. Yeah.
I think a lot of the time, if truth be told, a lot of retailers aren't big enough to be using these things. They're not big enough to, whereby if you're going to add these things in, it's going to make 1%, 2% difference to your bottom line. They're probably not big enough to really see enough return or justification for having that team of people working into the data and things like that. Obviously, yourselves are a huge exception to that, Gianni, but I think the majority of retailers out there, they need to look at things where they can more or less plug and play and then just kind of get on with the daily business, really.
Yeah. I think it's a combination as well. Like you said, especially for smaller retailers, they need, fast results and plug and play, easy, But going back to your point about the 1% and 2%, I think that what people don't see is the bigger picture of making all of these changes. And if it's a 1 or 2% per change, that's what we've seen. We've done a lot of, adding new partners and new, features on our website, and there might only be a 1 or 2% change for each one, but what we've seen over the year is them 1 and 2% add up. And you start to see, like, for example, adding our search, that we've seen crazy results from doing that, because customers can find the products they want, more relevant ones, faster. It sounds so simple, but it's effective. It's knocking out, potentially 2 or 3 clicks in that journey.
Yeah.
And giving people a better overall experience.
I think there's obvious things for me. We were in here discussing the search yesterday, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to document kind of the evolution of it and kind of put it together as like mini podcasts. So you can see our thoughts out loud.
Yeah.
But for me, there's things that are fairly obvious, such as with the search that we've tried to implement, we're serving as much product as possible. So we've taken up the full screen, and we've got like a infinite scroll that we've introduced there, and it will serve hundreds of products to people, obviously starting at the most relevant and then leading down. But that seemed obvious to me, to serve lots of product to people instead of just having a drop down with a few kind of keyword suggestions and maybe half a dozen different products that might be bestsellers or something. It literally doesn't make sense. One of the reasons the likes of Amazon is going to sell more than anyone else is simply because they've got more products. They've got more products available and more stuff to trawl through. So they're going to make more sales. So get more of your product in front of people. It just seems obvious to me. And yet you've got thousands of these search solutions that just aren't doing this type of thing. Mainly because they tend to be led by your Amazons, your eBays, where it is it's very cold, I guess, in terms of,
like you said yesterday, it's more like a warehousey approach type thing,
That's it. I need to get to that product quickly because eBay, Amazon got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of SKUs. Whereas I think, especially with it, and we were talking about the search again, in terms of how to best use the real estate that we've got in taking over a lot of the page. And I guess this ties in with Moda quite closely. When you go to Amazon, it is a bit like going into a warehouse, and you want specific things, and your head might be turned by various others. You add to basket, and you get out there fairly quickly. With yourselves, it's more things like more things that are kind of more prevalent now are things like ethical production of the products. You want to, because especially with the high street kind of being very limited at the moment, you need to kind of differentiate yourself through that customer care and things. So in our search results, we're starting to drop in. It's not just product we're serving, it's secondary calls to action or secondary information, such as blog posts to do with trends and fashion trends and things.
It's the quick links as well, isn't it? They've
exactly,
been repositioned as well with like delivery, extended returns and stuff like that.
Different ways to purchase so that you can ease the burden of the money coming out straight away. It's just kind of putting that arm around someone, and also just realizing that, and this is where it seems to be working fairly well in terms of the search solution, is that people don't necessarily, they're not going to make a decision on a £300 pair of shoes just at the drop of a hat. They want to kind of consider it. They want to they want to look around the site. They want to browse. They want to shop, basically, which is very different to that 100%. Kind of Amazon kind of, I need this product, I want the cheapest one, get in and out very quickly.
No, I was going to say, I think one thing that really sold the search to us, and this is how I pitched it internally, was because you're taking up the full screen, you're getting a personalized category page for what that person's after. And that's unlike anything you've seen before. There's lots of search that give you a few results of what you've searched for, but you basically transform that website into a category page of exactly what that person's looking for, whether it's a heel, a flat, a trainer, a boot, a knee-high boot. and obviously when you overlay in color and stuff like that within the search, all of a sudden they've scanned the whole website for everything that's related to what they're after.
Yeah, absolutely. Then the next stages that we're looking at as well, I mean, might as well talk about them while you're here, is I think a lot of the technology has been badly implemented. For example, you've got image search and search for visually similar products, and a lot of companies now, they're just saying, I mean, it's nice that they can do it, but it's a bit far-fetched, I think, is this concept of seeing a nice pair of shoes, taking the photo of those shoes on a stranger, which is odd in itself.
Trying nonchalantly on the metro in your mask.
then uploading it into a website and finding what's visually similar. That's quite long-winded, and I think I understand from a retailer's perspective that they want the latest technology, but I think there's an argument to say wait till the price of that technology comes down a bit, and wait till it's been implemented in a more sensible way. So we've done it the way we've done it. For example, if you are that crazy person on the metro that is going to take photos of strangers' shoes, you can do that. You can upload it and find visually similar products in the search results. But what we've done as well is looked at the existing catalog, so you can actually get your search results and then click on one of the products, and it'll serve visually similar products to what that actual item is. So you're not uploading, you're not providing your own products into the website. You're just moving quickly through it.
That's the way to go, really. In terms of, I always look for a belt with a silver buckle. You hardly find them out there, and you're searching and searching. So to put that in, and the relevant keywords, it's just going to save so much time, and at least you've got a base to go off.
Yeah, I think
for us it works.
Yeah, I think I'm just saying, like, approaching it that way as well. To be fair, let's be honest, is probably a more sensible way to do it right now, because if, say, you are, out with your friends and you see, oh, your friend's got a nice pair of shoes on, or got something that you want, and you take that. Nobody's doing that right now. Literally nobody.
Yeah,
like, you literally, it is illegal to do that right now.
High-powered zoom lens.
So, yeah. So it's a little bit hard to implement those features even in a realistic sense, because they can't actually be used.
The metro was a ghost town.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's across all of our products, really. We've had a bit of an audit, a review, I guess.
That's the best way to describe it. Yeah, I need to start using that. Yeah,
it's
a bit of an audit of everything, really.
Yeah, we've just looked at everything, and it's like, right, how can we make this better for our customers, not just in terms of like the roadmap, but how can they use it now in terms of their messaging, their strategy? How can they customize it for their, their brand strategy as well? So search has been the big one, and it's kind of, what's the next step for our overlays as well, I guess.
Yeah, it's given us a chance to take stock and look at what's important to a retailer. And it's still definitely, it's divided into two things. One's the bells and whistles, which is what I like getting involved with, which are basically, because I'm not a developer, I don't understand or fully appreciate what a lot of the devs put themselves through.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there with the designers looking at really cool, kind of quirky things that we can add onto a site. And meanwhile, the developers are looking at the moment, it's things like synonyms, and it's misspellings and things like that, and giving different options to people. I think Elliot yesterday was mentioning, I mean, you don't realize this until you get into it. And me being from a front end, I guess, sales background,
front of house.
Yeah, front of house, like communicating.
He's like the chef.
I'd never go into detail with a lot of these things that we're doing now, because the client probably doesn't care too much as long as it works. But I think Elliot was giving the example of typing in a word, and I think it was, if you typed what was it, MA?
I think it was tent. You mentioned tent, and then it was
right,
tent pegs. So it was a differentiation that the system will get sort of mixed up if it doesn't understand that, someone looking for a tent isn't necessarily looking for 10 pegs, but they're gonna get.
So all we can do is we can work off keywords, and that's it. But with the visual search that we've got now, where we can actually submit that picture of a tent, it'll give higher priority to that tent.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got tent pegs, whatever
poles,
is related to it, it's going to struggle for what's going to be the most relevant. And because you're not going to literally list a tent as tent on its own.
And they were saying, like, certain sites like that as well, that there's going to be 20, 30 items with a similar name in it as well, that are completely different items, different prices, different reasons, but because that's what that retailer does, you can get mixed up that way, wasn't it, really?
Yeah, that's it.
You don't understand the detail that goes into some of these things. Like, I'm like you, Rich, front end. I like it when it's shining on the front.
That's it.
I don't know the detail of how it's made.
It's funny though, because huge. I was going to say, I mentioned things, and the developers are literally like, that'll take 10 minutes to do, and that's a waste of time. But clients would love it, because it's that kind of little, I don't know, those bells and whistles on the top of what we're doing.
Yeah, most
cherry on top of the cake.
exactly right. Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's most, you know, most clients aren't going to have that sort of in-depth knowledge. Maybe the odd one that does and want to know these things, but 99% are just want to know what's this going to look like for their B2C as well, and how's it going to operate for them.
With the example, case in point was, I think it was, if someone's typing into a search, I think it was, if they type MAN, obviously man, people were saying, well, it's men's that it should be auto-correcting to.
Yeah.
So MAN becomes MENS kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then if people were typing in things like, I think it was Montaigne. So if they typed in MON to write the word Montaigne as a brand, does it correct to MAN? Does it correct to MEN for men's? Like, there's so many different options, and case by case, it's going to be different. Even within the same site, there's going to be different scenarios where you'd want to weight it one way or another.
And you don't want things falling through the cracks, though. It's all these little things that can fall through the cracks, which eventually trickles down and causes, they've lost this sale because they didn't find this way, and it's just these tiny little things that you just want to make it as clean and as simple as possible. But obviously, computers don't think the way we do either. It's that translation.
There's only so much you can control as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Especially on a case-by-case basis. I mean, different retailers have different product catalogs and different brands, different terminology. We have a few words in our products that no one else will ever have because it's an internal word that we call a certain material.
Yeah.
And to train such an intelligent search to do that, it must be quite challenging.
It comes back to what you said about the importance of data as well, and like what you can yield from these things, and what the people like Gianni can get from it, and what it says about how it's operating on their end, and how they can tweak things, and it's that feedback, constant feedback, isn't it? And just how valuable data is, especially moving through the time we are where stores are closed. That data collection and using that smart, it's just the most important thing for everyone across the board in business now, regardless of what sector you're in, really.
Yeah, I think it's in terms of the conversation you just said there between what you think's valuable in terms of the product team as well. I think it's the objective across all of the, I guess, the e-com in general is there's different team members. So from your UX, they'll have a different objective of how that looks and interacts on the site.
Yeah.
To, I guess, yourself, Gianni, with the data, the reporting of what you need to report back to kind of the senior team, to then those who also may be doing the testing as well on the filtering. So there's all there's different objectives. The main result is the performance and the return. But again, it's like, as it goes down to those numbers, there's people behind those numbers as well that we need to remember.
Yeah.
So it's always that kind of messaging, and it's the behavior that matters more than anything, really. And that's what we'll learn from.
100%. We did this big project about a year ago now. We called it our friction analysis project, and we were looking at how customers were behaving online and where they were dropping off, and pages with huge bounce rate as a whole. But then we were looking at customers individually, and we've got some tech where we can look at basically what they clicked on, what they searched, and what they put in their basket, and where they dropped off. And it's so eye-opening to see, things that you would overlook because you're on the site all day, every day.
Yeah.
Where you think, why are they on page 4 and they still haven't found what they're looking for? And when you look back at their individual journey, you can see, oh, well, that product they finally chose in the end, that was on page 4, but it really should be on page 1 because it's actually a really good product. And things like that. And, we did this huge analysis to refine the way we, how we direct people through to the site, and we retarget them back to the site, and then where on the site we put them back onto. And it really helps us understand, how our customers are interacting, and when we just take it for granted because we're using the site all day, every day.
Yeah, I think it's kind of what they're saying, what they're feeling, what they're doing. It's quite hard, especially if you're looking at that site and how you can optimize. So it's definitely a fresh pair of eyes in collecting that feedback, reviewing it, and applying it bit by bit.
100%.
So in terms of your Q4, and I guess there's a lot of conversation about the trends that come up year on year. So 2021 would have normally heard about what's going to be the big keywords. I guess for Moda and Pelle, Is that change, I guess, you're planning, or is it more kind of set back?
Yeah, so obviously Q4, Black Friday, Christmas, the biggest time of our year. We're currently in the middle of, well, I say in the middle, we're coming to an end of the planning for that now, and we've got everything boxed off from a product marketing point of view, budgets, all that kind of stuff. And we're looking basically to follow a similar trend to last year, do a few things a bit differently. From a sales point of view, we're hoping to better last year. We're going to go in for a really good year, and we're trying not to let everything with COVID hold us back. And it all boils down to really good product, good price, and getting it in front of our customers. So we're trying to not let the whole everything that's happened from COVID get in our way with this. We're trying to give the same experience as we always do, and some really good product.
I think the social and the influencing that you do across all your platforms will definitely help with that. It's quite consistent, and you've got quite a close-knit kind of influential group, who work together with Moda and Pelle.
Yeah, we've got a huge network of amazing brand ambassadors that'll anytime we need some support, they'll be the first people to shout about us, which is really good to have. And I know that a lot of brands don't have that. So social influencers, it's been a huge part of our growth in the last 2 years. Definitely something that we're going to be really gunning towards during Black Friday. One big project of ours was to open Moda and Pelle up to the younger audience. Historically, Moda and Pelle was a 45 plus market brand, and we had product that was we wanted to show to these 18 to 35 year olds and saying, you're going to love this, but we historically didn't know how to. So one big project when I joined the business was really developing an ambassador program where we had these loyal influencers that would scream about our brand because they were passionate about the product, and the response we get is insane. And by doing that, now we've got a really strong 18 to 35 market for the brand, and that's just growing month on month.
That's great to have an additional audience, additional segment to work on, I guess, especially for ready for Q4.
Yeah, and it's allowed us to expand in other ways. So we've developed over the last year a new collection. It's like a sister brand called M by Moda. Much more price, very like affordable, really cool, trendy designs. And it opens, the doors to, it gives our, traditional audience exactly what they want, but it also opens doors to the younger audience and gives them, an entry product to the brand. So they can get the experience, they can try, the shoes and the quality and style them up, share it with us, and we can learn and take them on that journey, and they'll become a long-time customer for us.
That makes sense, especially with what we found in terms of the trends, the data, where a lot more orders coming through, but average order values have come down, where people are looking at
100%
cheaper solutions, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the belt's
I was
tightening.
talking with Facebook the other day, and they're saying that they're starting to see the lipstick effect. So for those who don't know what that is, in the last recession, after the recession, Estee Lauder saw a boom in their lipsticks because people still couldn't afford luxury goods, but they wanted something to self-gift. So they were buying themselves a little lipstick to make themselves feel better. And we're seeing a very similar trend. It's a lot of self-gifting at the moment. They want them little luxuries that are going to, make them feel good over the next few months and stuff.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense with everyone. You talked about that, Rich, didn't you, when you were saying that as the lockdown area was like the severe lockdown stuff was ending, that you saw that luxury stuff in different fields starting to pick up again, where the people buying like suits to try and get new jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, because everyone's just been living in activewear for 3 months at that point.
I think it's the introduction of, people have had additional time, I guess, and trying to escape from all the chaos over the last 6 months. So, in terms of that new hobby, whether it's walking, hiking, running, different forms of exercise, they don't know. There's that uncertainty of how long it's going to last. So a majority of them might have bought maybe a cheaper pair of trainers or an outfit just to see how it goes. And now we're kind of coming out of it and going back to the office or work. It's like, actually, I'm invested in this. I need to now go and look out and, I deserve this. I've actually come through it. And I think there's a lot of people seeing that as well, where they've picked up this new hobby and kind of exploring that move for maybe order value.
Yeah,
So
a lot of outdoorsy
£30.
stuff going on.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's going to be interesting this year is the high street over Black Friday. I mean, historically, it's absolutely rammed, and you can't even you're hustling through people.
You can't
trying
fight
to
for a
get to the
TV
next
now;
shop.
it's illegal.
I know.
Getting your elbows out. I saw this thing where it was people are predicting that click and collect revenue this year is going to be up 60%.
Wow.
For click and collect, which is bizarre, thinking that people, are going to be leaving their house to pick up an item they bought online. So it will be really interesting at how the high street's going to be this Black Friday.
I think it'd be scary.
What your guys' thoughts on it?
I dread to think. We're tracking about, I think it's 1.2 billion in revenue. I think we could be about 60% up on last year in terms of Black Friday. I could see that happening.
There's Black Friday and then there's the Cyber Monday traditionally, isn't there?
Cyber Monday. I mean, Gianni will probably correct me on this, but I feel as though Cyber Monday's kind of fallen to one side a little bit with it. Black Friday seems to be, maybe because it comes
the
first.
One that's stuck.
That's the thing that's really stuck and got some momentum, I think.
All into one. I guess the date it falls on. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. I think was it 2 weeks before payday? So it's kind of that date it falls on, and now it's just one huge campaign.
But people run it for a week now, don't they?
Yeah.
A week, 2 weeks sometimes, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You can go get your Amazon Echo.
It's not a weekend anymore. It's definitely more of a...
It sounds like it's going to be a strangely more civil Black Friday.
I think so.
Actually, just people queuing and picking things up rather than, like you say, fighting for TVs.
I think it'll be
1 meter apart.
It'll all be online, basically. Yeah. All that high street revenue is just going to go online, isn't it?
I think for the kind of your supermarkets, for me, it's going to be hopefully a little bit more enjoyable, where you're not having to queue up for a trolley. The aisles, there's queues everywhere. I think it's more, ordering your food, and the click and collect for those supermarkets as well. It has boomed. Yep. So it's going to be definitely quite interesting per industry.
I think people have spent 100%. A lot of time online as well over the last 6 months, and there's probably quite a wish list that people have of things that they're going to kind of indulge in the run up to the festivities and things.
Yeah. And like you said, Gianni, with the lipstick effect as well. So people are going to be more inclined to treat themselves, right? Because there's not much else to do with your money at the moment. Like quite literally, especially with local lockdowns and such. So, treat yourself.
What would be a trip to Jamaica or something?
Yeah.
Oh, I wish.
I know.
I think what you'll find as well is a lot of your offline customers will be shopping online this year. From a good experience they might have had over the last few months, thinking, instead of going out to the high street this year, I may as well just make that purchase online because it was good.
Can't wait to have to go around.
That's one thing you'll probably see.
Have to run orders through for
run the orders through for you. There must have been a massive increase in kind of sounds strange though, but computer literacy and shopping literacy for generations that wouldn't traditionally.
The idea of my parents doing a weekly shop online, like grocery shop, it's just completely foreign. That's just never going to happen without all the lockdown being there.
Yeah.
So I think it will continue for those where they've got that confidence now to make orders online.
I know in terms of my family as well, where they're unsure of shopping online, they just kind of taking advantage of the messenger, chatting to the customer service. Just
I love that.
Answering a question and everything. So it's all on the site. Just that in-store
customer service is a good point.
Yeah.
We put a lot of additional resource on for customer service over the last few months just to make sure that we are a phone call away, and I think that's what a lot of brands need to take note on for over Black Friday, that it can be really simple to help someone through with an order just over the phone.
Just not randomly,
especially
there.
For you.
In terms of when we demo Salesify, we tend to do it over like a screen share.
Yeah.
But the talk after the back of lockdown has been actually doing it like more like a video call, just because it's a bit more personable. Are there any chat systems out there at the moment, or messenger systems where the customer service person is actually visible? I know there's usually that clip art thing of person with a headset there. Everyone uses the same model. But is there anyone actually doing that?
I don't think I've came across that actually.
I wouldn't say real time or anything like that. There'd be more of the scripted, the start, and then it would.
Just a bit more personable seeing someone's face, isn't it? Seeing their expressions and things like that.
You can add that to your list, Rich.
That's getting added.
List
This is the problem,
over,
right? I'll say this. There's the dev team working away on something pretty serious. Yeah. And I'm sitting there going, hey, wouldn't it be cool if you could look at someone while you're talking?
Yeah. Crazy new technology.
Video. But it's existing stuff, but just used somewhere where it's not traditionally used. There must be someone doing that with Messenger.
It's got, I would imagine for like huge companies, like, like call centers and stuff like that, it would be too much of a strain on the bandwidth. I would imagine if you're doing live video and you've got like 200 people on calls at the same time. But for people like ourselves, it could be something where it's actually way more doable and executable, and it's a little niche to take advantage of.
Especially from a B2B perspective. I've been on a few with tools and support, and it's just that face. There's somebody there.
Yeah.
And it's great as well. Even if it's just an intro and an outro and everything like that, it's just nice to see that there's a human behind the screen.
That's it. Everyone wants that reassurance, don't they?
Yeah.
And especially especially from a sales perspective as well, because at the end of the day, you're asking them to believe in something you're putting out there, and we are still very hardwired as humans to want to as much like body language and eye contact and all that kind of stuff, as much of that as possible is always better in terms of completing a sale and completing a transaction, right? I mean,
we were recently looking at solutions where we could showcase products in store to customers, like visually,
that's cool.
Virtually even. So, for example, a store member of the team could go around and show, different product solutions for what a customer's after, an evening pair of shoes for an event, and they can literally send a video of them going around the shop saying, there's this one, these are the features.
Personal shopper.
It just becomes really personal. Yeah, it's like a virtual personal shopper.
Have started to do that over the last couple of months.
Well, we were talking to Alice Hall, weren't we, about kind of in the middle of lockdown, I think it was, about subscription services and whether subscription services could work in fashion. So I think they tested the idea of kind of sending products out almost like your CD, DVD kind of subscription service that used to have to send half a dozen to you and then you'd send so many back. Yeah. But I think they were struggling with it actually working.
Yeah.
And being financially profitable for them. But I think in the podcast we talked about whether people would actually pay for a subscription for a personal shopper.
Yeah.
Like that added assistance.
Yeah.
I think everyone's trying to automate these things. When really there's probably, I think blokes especially were pretty clueless, myself included, on these things. Probably would pay like £20, £30 a month or something for someone actually going, no, you need this kind of thing, and actually advising properly.
Especially when you're buying on behalf of someone. So if it's like a significant other as well, because the person in question, if they then get like that perfect product for the significant other or whatever, they get to take all the credit for something that they don't have to disclose.
That's it, yeah.
Oh yeah, I did all the work. I went through all the catalogs. It was, I spent so much time on this.
I think there's a company I started following quite a lot on Instagram during lockdown who's a personal assistant, but she also looks at kind of the style codes. So somebody would come to kind of her office, which is a house. They would look at kind of what colors and styles would suit them. So her business just thought, what can I do? How can I shift it online? Normally there's a person in front of me and I know exactly straight away what colors would suit them in the style. She's actually moved that online, did Instagram stories every Wednesday, splitting it up with what people would normally pay for, step by step of shifting your wardrobe from spring to autumn or winter, what to look out for. A lot of people were decluttering, so she did a lot on that. She actually got a lot of business on the back of it. It was more the education piece, and it's like, I just need that expert to kind of, convert me to make sure and reassuring that I am doing it. And our business has done so well online. She's actually moved from England to Spain and continuing that
Wow.
business.
Oh wow.
So to actually think,
Brilliant.
this dream of, moving abroad, I'm worried that my business is not going to work because I need that
Yeah.
person in front of me,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
customer
yeah.
in front of me, to the point where actually I've shifted my business strategy over the last 6 months. I can do this actually while living the dream. So I think that was quite a shock to all of our customers, but it's working still, and she's still carrying on those wardrobe Wednesdays, which a lot of people, you can see the engagement just goes up.
Wow.
So that's quite nice to see that businesses have adapted and
Mhm.
potentially are more successful off the back of it.
Yeah. I
People
mean,
want something different, don't they? They're looking for, something new, especially right now when a lot of people are feeling uninspired. Businesses like that, where they can offer a really bespoke personal service, they're going to flourish if people have the disposable income to spend on something like that.
it's one of those things, isn't it? When you step back and look at all of this, top down, that a lot of businesses have been presented with new challenges, and it's the craziest time we've ever lived in. But it kind of just shows that if you do open your mind and kind of embrace innovation, like you said, that this 1% here, there was 2% there, and it does add up, that you can actually work around these things, and it's kind of forcing businesses, as you said, to self audit and go what's working, what's not. But it's kind of it is churning innovation, it's forcing innovation, which from that perspective, I suppose, is a really exciting thing for businesses to embrace new technologies wholeheartedly. As you've said, some haven't totally embraced yet, but it's kind of pushing people that way, whether they have the choice or not. It is kind of inspiring a lot of innovation.
It's taking a step back and looking at what's important and most importantly, what your customers are wanting, especially now their needs might change because of everything that's happened, and making sure that you're adapting to supply that.
Can you see your behaviour and how you shop, Gianni? I know you're a good average shopper. Has it changed how you behave?
Oh, definitely a lot more online shopping, just to keep myself busy. But yeah, I'm looking for that something different as well. I was basically talking about myself when I was on about that a minute ago, where sometimes you do feel uninspired with what you're wearing, what you're buying, hobbies. I've just started properly learning Italian for the first time, which is a bit embarrassing for me. But about 26-year-old today, so not too not too soon. But no,
Happy birthday!
Oh, yeah, happy birthday!
Yeah, thank you. About time. We're like half an hour.
I know I sang happy birthday before we started. Just no one wants to hear my voice.
No, but it's making people reevaluate what their interests are, and sparking new hobbies, and making people do things that they haven't maybe had the time to do before. I know over lockdown we've had a lot of people do home improvements.
Yeah,
and it's the first time they've ever dived into that world.
Yeah,
the industry's booming.
Home improvements and handstands.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people doing handstands.
And TikToks.
Got handstand competitions here at
TikToks took off.
Lowest standard ever.
Yeah. Yeah, but they have though. Some people have remodeled themselves completely and like try to emerge as different people. Some people have self-evaluated and what's more important in my life. And we've had several stories of people, businesses where they've went, I've went through this and that and the other, and I've had to reevaluate what's important to me and what this whole situation's exposed in terms of work-life balance, and like say coming back to empathy and kind of what they want their business to be about and what they want their business to say to not only other businesses but to the customers that they sell to, and I think kind of that image has become more important than ever. But I think that's pretty much everything that we need, Gianni, to be honest. I think we've been going an hour and 10 minutes now,
DL.
Yeah. It's flew by.
Bloody hell, time flies.
Time flies.
Been a pleasure, guys.